Now, with standard form, we have to be able to multiply and divide in the standard form. Incidentally, this is only for higher tiers, so you can skip this if you're foundation. So how do we actually multiply two numbers in standard form? Here we've got an example. We've got 6 times 10 to the 3 multiplied by 7 times 10 to the 4. Well, one thing we can do, because they're only separated by time multiply signs and divide signs, and this was, I think, in one of the pre-GCSE videos where we talked about switching operators if they're the same type. Because they're times or divides, we can actually flick the numbers around. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the two numbers next to each other, and then put the two 10 to the powers next to each other, the two exponents next to each other. So this way now we have got two base numbers multiplying, which we can easily do because we know our times tables, and then we've got two indicia with the same base multiplying. And there are previous GCSE videos on indicia you should have a look at if you are not sure how to multiply two exponents together. So 6 times 7 is 42. And then if you remember, when we multiply 10 to the 3 by 10 to the 4, we get 10 to the 7. Because if the base is the same, as it is 10 in both of these, we just simply add the powers together. Now the only problem with our answer here, the 42 times 10 to the 7, is that standard form should only have one number to the left of the decimal place. Just like when we created the standard form from 23 million, it was 2.3 million. There was only the 2 on the left side of the decimal place. And at the moment, there's two numbers, the 4 and the 2. So what we're going to do is put a decimal point between the 4 and the 2. And the problem here is that now we've made the number 10 times smaller. We've divided the 42 by 10. And if we've divided it by, made it 10 times smaller, it's not going to be the same number. So the answer is make the number 10 times bigger. And how we do that? We simply add 1 on to the power, and we've now got the final answer, 4.2 times 10 to the 8. So switch it around so you've got the bases next to each other and you've got the exponents next to each other. Multiply the two bases. 6 times 7 is 42, and 10 to the 3 times 10 to the 4 is 10 to the 7. And then if you've got more than one number to the left of the decimal place, move the decimal place in so that you've only got one. And then however many times you've made it smaller, whether it's 10 times smaller if you've moved the decimal place once, 100 times smaller if you've moved it twice, add the number of times you've moved the decimal place on to the power. So what if we want to divide them? What if it's 8 times 10 to the 5 divided by 2 times 10 to the 3? Now we're going to do a similar thing here. We're going to move the 8 and the 2 next to each other, and we're going to divide the powers. Now notice this time it's not, notice how the two numbers have become dividing and the two exponents are dividing. So now from this position we can calculate just as before. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we're left with 4 times 10 to the 5 divided by 10 to the 3. And then with indicia, if they're the same base, and they've both got the base of 10, and we're dividing, then we just take it away, the powers away. So 5 take away 3 is 2. So we're left with the right answer there, 4 times 10 to the 2. And in this one, we don't have to worry about moving the decimal place because there is only one number to the left of the decimal place. So the answer is 4 times 10 to the power of 2.